It is a really gorgeous day here in Maine, and while I'm going for a walk out in the woods, I hope that the snow crunching isn't too distracting and that it's a nice little background noise while I give you shifting advice. So I shifted recently, and I'm pretty happy about that because I'm going to be honest with you all. I was in a pretty big rut when it came to my shifting journey. I thought that I just couldn't do it anymore, or that I was someone that could only partially shift, and it was definitely a tricky mindset that I was in, and that was definitely holding me back. And once I did it again, I came to the realization all over again, stupid me, that anyone can do it. And it is so silly. I don't know. You think you can't do it, and then you do it, and then you're like, well, crap. Anyone with a human mind can just shift their reality. So I had this thought that I wanted to share with you all who haven't shifted yet, that are having trouble. Listen, you know it's hard to learn how to shift. But once you do shift, you're like, oh, shifting itself is easy. It's the learning how to do it part that's hard. It's the learning what your blockages are and what you need to let go. So I'm going to do my best to explain how I think you can get yourself to actually do it this time. It's going to take time. That's the first thing, is I'm not going to tell you that you have to be patient. I'm going to try to give you I'm going to try to deliver the same exact advice that everyone on Early Shift Talk was giving us in a different way so that you can absorb it into your minds and understand. Because I think the trouble with Early Shift Talk, and I'm not going to go and talk about all the rumors, I'm talking about the genuinely good advice from Early Shift Talk, is that they did it pretty easily. I think for those people, it was really easy for them to detach from their identity and become someone else. Because that's essentially what you're doing. What I'm trying to explain here is that you're not going to another reality. You're not traveling anywhere. And you've heard that advice before, or maybe you haven't. You're not going to another reality. You are becoming another person. You have to go through this little ego death. You have to go through this little transition, this little void state. And you have to completely let go of who you are here. You have to know and trust, and this is something that I have to work on, that it's going to be okay. I'm completely in the woods now. You have to somehow create a practice and a routine, and I'm saying this to myself now, of mindfulness and being in that void state of letting go of your identity and being comfortable with settling into another version of yourself. The human mind is a powerful tool. Think about your mind. Think about how powerful it is. It is 10 times more powerful than you believe. We don't understand our own minds. It's incredible that our consciousness even exists. Think about that for a second. Now remember that your mind is the tool to shifting. Your mind is the spaceship in a sense, per se. Your mind is what you're using to get to another reality. But I like that it's called reality shifting because it's the shifting that happens around you. You're not actually traveling anywhere. Your soul isn't leaving your body. You might believe that it is, but in order to explain to you how to do it, I'm going to say that your mind is the thing that's shifting reality around you. You are staying still. The reality itself is changing into something else. Becoming a completely another person is hard. That is hard. That is the hard part about shifting, I think. Because every single time I've done it, I start thinking about here. I start thinking about this reality. I'm like, oh, I'm Aaron here. I'm Aaron B. Like, what the... Being Aaron, another version of me, she's so cool. She's like, no, you have to become another version of yourself completely. And that is, I want to emphasize, that is completely terrifying. You have to completely trust and let go that your CR will be here when you get back. And that's how you shift. You will do your method, and for a lot of people, doing a method worked. It was very easily. Some people are very gifted at shifting realities. But just because other people are gifted at something doesn't mean that you can't do it. I was telling my friend Sydney when I shifted again, and it was so exciting. My heart was beating so fast, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, it's real. She's like, oh my God, is it real? Is it real? And I'm like, Sydney, we've been telling people this whole time that it's real. Of course it's real. It's just that it sounds too good to be true. But it's not too good to be true, because clearly it is very difficult. It is very difficult for a lot of people to learn how to let go of their ego. And I think a lot of the people that shifted very early on, or that shifted before you did, had something about their minds and their life experience, something that they went through in their life, that made it easy for them to become someone else. To let go of the idea that this reality is all that there is. Because if you've gotten close to shifting, at the very least, you know that this is not all that there is. So, for me, I know what I have to do is I need to meditate a lot more. I need to get really comfortable being in the void state and completely thinking like my DR self. The funny thing is, I shifted this last time when I was awake, and that was whack. That was wackadoodle for me, because you feel it happening around you, and it's terrifying. And I want to call it a mini shift, but like, that's defeating the point. If I was there for 5 seconds, you can go to your DR for 5 seconds. If I can shift for 5 seconds, I can shift for however long I want. And that's what I was trying to convince myself in that moment. But the thing is, when you are in a different state of consciousness, i.e. sleep, deep meditation, astral, and you have this routine in your mind, the neurons already built up being there, it's going to make it easier for you to shift because you're already kind of in that void state. Trying to convince yourself that you're in another reality while you're awake is difficult. That's why a lot of people do it when they're asleep. Because you're already giving your subconscious mind the reins. So write your script. Actually meditate. Listen, if you want to shift, if you really want to do it, you have to learn from your mistakes. There is no way you are going to shift if you lay down every night and say, well, I'm just going to try, and then you wake up and you're like, well, I guess that didn't work. I'm going to need you to do a little more than that. I'm going to need you to learn from every single attempt that you do. I need you to say to yourself, well, if I don't do it, that's fine. I am going to do it, but if I don't, then I'm going to take a serious lesson from this attempt. And that's the attitude that I started to have, and that's why I shifted, because for a long time, I was just doing that. I was just laying down and be like, oh God, this reality blows. I just want to be in my DR. I wake up here. What the you know? So if you learn from your mistakes, instead of identifying with your failure and thinking to yourself, I can't shift, I just can't do it, you have to listen to your intuition. Every single time you attempt, write it down, make a mental note. I really don't care. But dude, you're so powerful. Like, the human mind is beyond anything that we can imagine. And maybe it's going to take a lot of time, but I don't think it will if you commit to the learning process, because everyone's mind is completely unique. My mind is completely unique, and I'm particularly stubborn. So in a way, that being stubborn made it really hard for me to try and shift, because I was so stubborn that I couldn't do it. But being stubborn also helped me, because I wasn't going to give up, ever. This thing is so cool, and you know, I've left my physical body before, and I've astral projected, and I've proven to myself that this metaphysical stuff is real. I've done other crap, but shifting is like the coolest thing to me, because it's way too good to be true. But the thing is, I think we all kind of knew it was possible deep down. We all know that there are other, well, not all of us. Some of us are vehemently deniers. That's fine. Those aren't the shifters. Yeah, those people make me mad sometimes, because why would you spend your time just trying to bring people down about this thing that's so cool? And, you know, there's no way to prove it to anyone else. There's no real way to prove that shifting is real. You just kind of have to understand that the human mind is a beyond incredible tool. Learn from your mistakes. That's what I'm trying to do. It's going to take me some time, and I'm going to have to be patient, or not. If you don't want to be patient, that's okay too. Kick and scream for all I care. But learn from every attempt. What happened in this attempt that made it so you ended up back here? What was pulling you back? What was holding you back? Because you know. I can't tell you. You have to figure it out. You're the captain of this shifting journey. You're the captain of the ship. You gotta go. You're in charge. That's all my advice for now. I don't know if anyone from my TikTok audience will migrate over to this platform, but if I get some new people that are genuinely interested in still trying to shift after all this time, after 3 or 4 years, just do it, man.